So, I am back again talking, as usual, about whatever comes to mind this evening. And we are entering twilight, and I thought I would sit outside again since I'm trying to enjoy nature while we're in the summertime. And I think that I would again like to start with the reading from the compassion cards. These are Pema Chodron's compassion cards. They are teachings for awakening the heart in everyday life. I've had quite a few things going on in my head since I started doing these recordings, and quite frankly since I've become aware that I've been on this journey of healing. And so I think it's a good idea to start with the cards, and then maybe that'll help to focus this brief conversation or this brief monologue, if you will. And if not, I'll just mention some of the things that were going through my head earlier today about the collective energy, my own energy, and some of the things that we go through as humans on our path to awakening, healing, ascension, all those things, and probably more that I haven't mentioned. One flew out. So this says, don't transfer the ox's load to the cow. Number 34. Don't transfer the ox's load to the cow. Not sure if you can see that. It says, don't transfer your load to someone else. Take responsibility for what is yours. So basically, that is really just more commentary about the importance of taking personal responsibility. I think yesterday I was talking about taking honest self-assessments and being true to who it is that we are, what it is that we want, and really looking at ourselves to examine what it is that we're bringing in the world. Self-examination. This also sounds like the same thing. Take responsibility for ourselves. I need to take responsibility for myself, what things are on me, and how can I manage that appropriately without putting it onto someone else. And I think a lot of times we make the mistake of thinking that it's all of these external things that are causing the problems. And it's very true that there are quite a few things in the world that are out of our control. We don't have control over many of the things, especially in the United States. Even though we live under the banner of freedom, there are a lot of things that have to do with human rights, individual rights, and women's rights, the history of African Americans in this country, or Black people, and other ethnic groups and racial groups that have had that have had difficulties, challenges, been beaten down, kept down, held down, in addition to socioeconomic status and the money that we have. We live in a capitalist economy, and so we are taught and cultured that money matters. And quite frankly, it does make life easier. It's not the only thing, it's not the most important thing, but it certainly seems to make things easier. And I know that based on my desire for manifestations and the amount of millions of people that I see on YouTube looking at videos about manifesting wealth, it's clear that we are all cultured in that way. And I know, well, I'm certain that it's the same in other countries as well. Um, One of the things in terms of healing that I've realized recently, and this is directly correlated to manifestation, is that letting go of excess baggage is important, because I can't take old stuff, useless stuff from the past, where I'm going in the future and where I see myself in the future. And it's not serving me in the present, and the present is all we have. So I think that that's one of the important things about healing, and in terms of healing, trying to ensure that we are manifesting in a way that's mindful, so that we are seeing in our reality what it is that we really want. So another part of the manifestation, and something that I have been actively working on, is emotional baggage. So not just cleaning out my storage shed in my apartment, but that is one thing that I have been doing in terms of releasing things that no longer serve me, but also looking at emotional things. So that's also not transferring my load to someone else and taking responsibility for what's mine, looking at what's happening for me emotionally and internally. And oftentimes, and I said this in an earlier video, we don't have the time, or we don't make the time to do that, and it feels like we don't have the space to do it. Oftentimes we don't have the energy to do it because we are busy, 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 and our mind is focused in so many other directions. um, One of the important emotions that I realized that I needed to look at, and I imagine that other people need to look at it too, especially in the culture that we live in, is the notion of shame. I have a tremendous empathy for anyone who is experiencing shame or any type of embarrassment. It is very hard for me to see. It's very hard for me to watch. I rarely think something like that is funny, even if it's in a movie, even if it's intended to be comical. And I think one of the reasons that I realized recently was because I've experienced instances of shame, as we all have, and needed to work through what that meant for me, and how that was playing out, and how that affected the decisions that I made, and how I felt about myself. And so I would say that for people who are interested in healing and manifesting, and they may be feeling like they're blocked in some way, one of the things to examine uh, in terms of emotional baggage that we're carrying might be what it is that we might be feeling shame about, whether it's shame about ourselves, whether it's shame about where we came from, whether it's shame about what we have, whether it's shame about who it is that we want to become, or we think we are, whatever it is. Um, that's not, it feels real, and we experience it as real because we're humans, and it's also something that needs to be released, and we need to work on accepting who we are and loving ourselves and loving all the things about ourselves, even the past, even the ugly parts, even the parts that are difficult to look at, because those things are getting in the way of forward progress and manifestation. And I think that in order to make honest assessments of ourselves, we do have to look at some of the things that we haven't made time to look at because it's been painful. And I think shame and experiences of shame or embarrassment are some of those instances that can be difficult or challenging. So that's one thing that I think is important in terms of release. And as far as recognizing that we are powerful beyond all measure, which means we can move beyond that as soon as we decide that it's okay to release that and that we're ready for healing. The doors will be open. And I think I said something like that in the video yesterday. So I think that's about where I want to end. And as usual, I would like to extend love, light, peace, prosperity, harmony, wellness, and great health to every being in the universe, and remind myself and all of us that I am powerful beyond all measure. We are powerful beyond all measure. I am kind. We are kind. I am compassionate. We are compassionate. We are rich. We are wealthy. We are abundant in all ways. We are healthy, wealthy, wise, and we are already free.